Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. Today we will see what if Fox's Naruto protects Hinata Part 2. If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. With nearly half their number laid up, the guard rotations had to be rearranged. Kurenai was now Tazuna's full-time bodyguard, with her 3 genin and Sakura trading off watches with her. Kurenai had given Hinata permission to watch Naruto until her patrol started, provided she continued to use her Byakugan to check the surrounding area. Now, well after midnight, Kurenai checked on them. Naruto had been sleeping comfortably for most of the day. Hinata seemed to have dozed off. Kurenai decided to let her sleep until her patrol started in an hour. Tazuna was sitting at the kitchen table when Kurenai walked in. He took a cig from his bottle. "Doesn't it disturb you to see how that kid is treated? Or is that just some ninja thing?" No, this was something unexpected. But sadly understandable. "Sasuke is a Uchiha. Have you heard of them?" Kurenai said. "Yeah, one of your village's big clans till they got themselves killed off somehow." Tazuna said. "Not quiet, they were all killed, by Sasuke's older brother. He is the only survivor." Kurenai said. "You mean his own brother killed his parents? Cousins?" Tazuna said. "Yes, everyone. From what I understand, Sasuke's single goal is to kill his brother and restore his clan. He has had an entire village telling him how special he for years now and catering to his wishes. He has become a prince to most of the civilians." Kurenai said. "And something like that happened to the other kid too, huh? Princely rivalry?" Tazuna said. "No, the opposite. You've heard of the Kyuubi?" Kurenai said. "That 9-tailed dog thing?" Tazuna said. "Fox, and yes. When it attacked, well, both of Naruto's parents died that night. In total he spent maybe 10 minutes with them." Kurenai said. "Lots of kids grow up without parents." Tazuna said. "True, if that was it. I lost my own father that night. But because Naruto was born on the day the Kyuubi attacked, the village began to use him as a scapegoat for their anger. He has been hated and mistreated wherever he has gone. People have even gone as far as to try and kill him." Kurenai said. "Seriously? How the hell can he still be so goofy then?" Tazuna said. "To be honest, I'm not sure. Not only does he still smile, but he plans to become Hokage." Kurenai said. "That's a laugh. A little thing like him?" Tazuna said. "It's true. He wants to protect the entire village, even the ones who have tried to kill him. Everything he has he fought for. Sasuke thinks everything should be handed to him." Kurenai said. "You ninjas are messed up." Tazuna emptied his bottle and stumbled upstairs. Outside the kitchen window stood Shino. Kiba crouched under the window with an ear cocked. "So that's why people treat Naruto like that." "Maybe, but there are several flaws in her story. In a village the size of Konohagakure there will be at least several children born every day. Why was Naruto singled out? Because he lost his parents? Others lost as much as him and they were treated well." Shino said. "You're overthinking things." Kiba said. "Kiba, have you or Akamaru sensed anything odd about Naruto?" Shino said. "Once, Akamaru smelt something. He couldn't explain it well though. Said it smelled like hate." Kiba said. "Interesting." Shino said. "My own insects have a primal fear of something, not Naruto but something affecting him." "Hey, you got an idea or something?" Kiba said. "No, I will need to speak with Hinata before I speculate." Shino said. "Hinata? Why?" Kiba said. "When she was examining Naruto's chakra network earlier she saw something. I detected an unnatural hesitation." Shino said. "So after you talk with her will you tell me what you're thinking?" Kiba said. "If I think there is reason to." Shino said. Sakura sat by Sasuke's bed. She had been delighted when she'd seen Kakashi had removed Sasuke's shirt. Not that she hadn't seen him shirtless before in pictures. Nearly every female at the academy had a set of shirtless Sasuke pictures taken by an unknown photographer. Seeing his bare chest in the flesh though was so much better. If she ignored the deep red dots on his stomach where Hinata had attacked him, or the purple and yellow bruises on his back. She put a cool washcloth on his head. He wasn't running a fever, but Sakura had decided to indulge the fantasy of nursing him back to health a little. Sasuke tried to roll over and grimaced before he fell back on his back. Kakashi had told her that there wasn't anything she could do for him. Still she brushed her fingers along his arm, hoping to bring him some comfort. The light was weak and red. Sasuke stood in a hallway, somewhere he knew better than his own home. Or to be correct, it was his home. How it had been that night. Deep cuts in the wood. Screens torn on the doors. A trail of blood dotted the grain of the wood, still seeping along the indentations. The coppery smells of it and the wax used on the floor mingled around him. He had had this dream so many times that it had long since stopped scaring him. He knew it like the back of his hand, and sometimes wondered if it wasn't a lingering torture from his brother. Standing around won't get this done any faster. He walked into the last room in the hall. His mother's body lay on the floor, his father's pinned by a kunai through his hands against the wall. Mother, father. It had become habit for him to address them before the rest of the nightmare played out. A moment passed and another door slid open. Itachi stood outlined by the red light, still too weak to do anything. Fire burned in Sasuke, his hate rushing through his veins. But he knew how things would go. This was a nightmare with a script. Half-heartedly he charged his brother. Itachi knocked him down. Twice more he attacked, and twice more he was sent sprawling. That was how it always went. There was a time whenever new jutsu he learned he'd try in the nightmare. But things never change. He was knocked down 3 times then woke up. Only this time as he lay on the floor after the 3rd hit he didn't. Instead hands wrapped around his arm and pulled him up. Standing next to him was Naruto. Come on, that can't be the best you have. Knock this bastard out. What the hell are you doing here? Sasuke said. Come on, if this is your best then I guess that whole being a prodigy was nothing but stroking your ego. Naruto said. A dead last no clan bastard knows nothing about fighting. Sasuke said. Oh really? Then how did I beat you? Naruto said. You didn't. Sasuke said. He was so busy yelling at Naruto he didn't see Itachi move and hit him a 4th time. He collapsed gasping. His last sight in the dream was his mother's lifeless face. A blurry figure stood over Sasuke. For a moment his mind thought and wished it was his mother. Then the figure became clearer. It was Sakura. She reached towards him but he shoved her hands away and clutched his stomach. What happened? You beat Naruto, but then Hinata attacked you. Sakura said. That loser took me out? Sasuke said. She had surprise on her side. Sakura said. Her clan says she's a failure and Naruto was dead last. But they can both beat me. Damn it, and I really that weak? Sasuke said. No, there's gotta be some reason. Sakura said. There are 2 possibilities. I am that weak, or they are both strong enough to have fooled everyone. Where is he? Sasuke said. Who? Sakura said. Naruto. Sasuke said. Downstairs. Sakura said. Sasuke staggered out of bed and down the stairs. On the 5th step his foot slipped. Luckily Sakura was behind him and caught him. He struggled against her and jumped the rest of the stairs. He opened the door to Naruto's room and stood in the doorway. Naruto was still asleep, wrapped in bandages, Hinata resting her head next to him. Sakura watched Sasuke, not sure what to do. She breathed a sigh of relief when he left the room and closed the door. Then he laughed. What was I thinking? I won, they're both just weaklings. He staggered past Sakura back up the stairs to the room he had been sleeping in. Naruto's first thought was that he had been burned again. He remembered the feeling from years ago when someone hit him with a burning branch. This was worse though, his whole body felt hot and itchy. He opened his eyes expecting to see another hospital room. Instead he was in a poorly lit room. Hinata was sleeping in a chair next to the bed with her head resting on his hand. He moved his hand and brushed her bangs aside. She stirred and sat up. Naruto-kun. She jumped on the bed and wrapped Naruto in a bone-crushing hug. Don't you ever scare me like that again. Please. Naruto said. Sorry. Hinata let him go but continued to straddle his waist. Promise me you'll never do something like that again. Jump in front of a fireball to protect you? Sorry, but I'll do it every chance I get. Besides, every time I get hurt I wake up with a beautiful girl next to my bed. Naruto said. Next time I won't be here then. Hinata said, turning her head so he wouldn't see her blushing. Naruto wrapped his arms around her waist. Ah, come on. That'd be torture. Before Hinata could answer there was a flash in the room. They both turned to the door to see Shino with a camera. My mother suggested I take up a hobby. He calmly walked away. Hinata and Naruto realized what position they had been caught in and jumped apart. You should get some rest. You'll be fine in a few days. She stood to leave but Naruto caught her hand. If you wanted, you could, stay a while along. I would, really like to but I have to go on patrol soon. Maybe I will be back afterwards. Hinata said. Okay, Naruto said with a big cheesy grin. Hinata found Shino sitting on the roof. That picture, it could cause problems with my family if they ever saw it. No one will see it. I only used it as an excuse to separate you from Naruto. I doubt you would have left his side otherwise. Shino said. Why did you want me away from Naruto? Hinata said. So that we could talk. Both Kiba and I have noticed something peculiar about Naruto. My observations suggest it has something to do with his chakra. While observing Naruto's chakra earlier you flattered. I would like to know what you saw. Shino said. And nothing. Hinata said. If you do not wish to tell me you do not have to, but I will ask. You know what is the cause of this oddity? Shino said. Hinata hesitated. I do. Is it a risk to our mission? Shino said. No. Hinata said. Alright, by the way, you and Naruto make very good subjects. I already have several pictures of you two together. Shino said before jumping from the roof. He already has pictures of us together? I wonder if he'll make me copies. Come on, I'm fit for duty. Naruto said. For the last time, no, you would only be a liability. Kakashi said. But I can't stay in bed all day. I'll die of boredom. Naruto said. If only we were that lucky. Kakashi said. What was that, Kakashi? Naruto said. Nothing. Listen, if you have so much energy, why don't you go train? Kakashi said. But Sasuke is back in action. Naruto said. Sasuke wasn't burned. Kakashi said. No, he just had a tree fall on him. Naruto said. Shino put a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Come, we will train together. Shino said. But, Naruto said. A good ninja would not risk the mission. Instead they would use this time to train and become a better asset. Shino said. Guess you're right. Naruto said. They walked to the clearing that Hinata and he had used before. To one side was a ring of charred earth, across from it was a fallen tree, its trunk splintered. The lingering scent of burnt wood and earth tickled Naruto's nose. Before it slips my mind, I have something for you. Shino said, holding out his hand. A single red-shelled bug jumped around in his palm. What is it? Naruto said, leaning in to examine it. Its common name is the blood beetle. It will alert my hive if you are injured. Shino said. Alright, so where does it go? Naruto said. Shino moved his hand next to Naruto and the blood beetle jumped to Naruto's shoulder, attaching itself to his jacket. Hinata and Kiba both have one as well. Sasuke refused to allow one to be with him and Sakura ran. I guess we'll just have to make sure one of us is always with them then. So, what kind of training did you have in mind? Naruto said. After observing your spar with Sasuke and speaking with Kurenai-sensei, I believe your greatest failing as a ninja is your lack of chakra control. Shino said. Yeah, Kakashi said the same thing. So more tree climbing? Naruto said. Not quite. While it is true that tree climbing will help you with control, you have another issue that will hold you back. Shino said. Like what? Naruto said. You have such a large reserve of chakra that it is impeding your control. Shino said. So? It's not like I can do much about it. Naruto said. But I can. My insects will eat a majority of your chakra. With less you may be able to better control it. Shino said. Will this really work? Naruto said. I read of a similar technique in my clan's library. Because our insects eat chakra, we have developed large chakra reserves of our own. Because the majority of our chakra is set aside for our insects, we have learned to be very select in our use of the remainder. Shino said. Most of that went over my head, but alright. So what do I need to do? Naruto said. Just stand there. Shino raised both his arms and insects swarmed out. They circled Naruto, a few landed on his hands, then more. Until the entire swarm was crawling along his skin, wiggling under his clothes. It took most of his self-control not to try and brush them off. So, how long should this take? Naruto said, fidgeting. He was beginning to tingle all over. A few more moments. Shino said. Slowly insects began to fly back to Shino. First only a few, but soon clumps were falling off Naruto and returning to their home. Naruto swayed on his feet. Shino bent down as the last of his insects crawled up his shelves. Interesting, there was no sign of any anomaly within his chakra this time. So now what? Naruto said. Tree climbing. Shino said. How's this different then? Naruto said. You will see. Shino said. Alright. Naruto walked to a tree and focused his chakra at his feet. He did notice a difference. It was much harder to force enough chakra to his feet to stay on the trunk. 3 times he fell off before he managed to get to a branch and stay there for a minute and a half. Man, this is a lot harder than before. Exactly. This is how most people experience the tree climbing exercise. Shino said. Seriously? Man, that sucks. Naruto said. Shino adjusted his glasses. I would not put it that way. However, now you should have a better understanding of exactly how much chakra you possess. Shino and Kiba sat on the roof. It was well after sunset and they were about to start their patrol. So learn anything about Naruto? Little. Hinata is aware of what the cause is. She has assured me, though it is not a liability to our current mission. While training today with Naruto, I used my insects to siphon his chakra. There was nothing odd about it, nor his reaction. Shino said. So we know nothing. Kiba said. No, Hinata had admitted there is something abnormal about Naruto's chakra. Now we are sure what we noticed before was real. Shino said. So you didn't ask him about it? Kiba said. No, judging from Hinata's reaction, it appears to be a personal matter. Unless we are given cause for concern, it would be best to leave him to his secrets. I am sure Hinata would inform us if we needed to know. Shino said. Guess you're right. Oh hey, I got your pictures back. Kiba said, handing over a small envelope. You're surprisingly artistic. The contents of this package will remain between us unless you would like to have to take a flea bath every day for a year. Shino said. Got it. Kiba said. 2 days after his duel with Sasuke, Naruto was completely recovered. To the amazement of almost everyone, Kakashi was also almost healed and had taken Sasuke away for the day for training. He insisted Naruto and Sakura would not learn anything and should remain behind to guard Tazuna. The bridge was almost completely deserted when Naruto and Sakura showed up for their shift. Kurenai was standing with Tazuna looking over a pile of blueprints. The bridge builder took a deep swig from his bottle and sighed. So you're already back in action, shrimp? Who are you calling a shrimp? Naruto said. You shrimp. Want to prove me wrong? Get off your ass and do a man's work. He said, motioning towards a pile of supplies. I'll show you. Kaga Bunshin no Jutsu. Dozens of Narutos swarmed the supplies. Tazuna turned to Kurenai and Sakura. How come you can't do that? 'Cause Naruto's a freak, Sakura said. Tazuna leaned in close. A freak? Better a freak than a stuck-up bitch. He's guarding me and doing the job of 20 men. I haven't seen you do anything except abandon me when you heard that other brat was hurt. Sasuke-san is not a brat. He's an amazing ninja, Sakura said. Kurenai rested a hand on her shoulder. Sakura, maybe you should make a round to check on things? Yes, Kurenai-sensei, she said, stomping off. Kurenai glared at the bridge builder. I think you went a bit far. All I did was tell the truth. She's been pretty useless. Didn't do anything when we were attacked. Heck, hasn't even helped with the bridge. Least the shrimp and your brats are pulling their weight. That girl with the crazy eyes can check the inner supports faster than any of my men. Bug Boy checked the whole thing for rust and stress, and that dog kid is almost as useful for heavy labor as Naruto. We are bodyguards, not your personal labor force, Kurenai said. Hey, just finding a practical use for their skills, Tazuna said. Kurenai kept a static face but was secretly proud of the incentive her students had taken. When Sakura came back from her patrol, she proved as useless as Tazuna had said. Sitting on the ground mumbling about her precious Sasuke. Finally the Kurenai sent her on another patrol just to be rid of her. When Hinata and Kiba came to relieve them, Sakura immediately headed back to Tazuna's home. Naruto on the other hand continued working with his clones, being joined by several more that had wandered off into the tree line and taken lookout positions. Kurenai had to admit she was impressed, though she supposed all his pranking had taught him the importance of keeping a lookout. As the afternoon wore on, she began to wonder if the academy shouldn't somehow incorporate pranking into the curriculum. It seemed to have taught Naruto well. Tazuna called an end to the workday. The few workers who remained stopped and stretched their tired muscles. The Naruto clones set down whatever they were carrying and disappeared. The real Naruto walked towards them, but Kurenai noticed him sway slightly and saw the light bags under his eyes. Naruto, I understand you have unreasonable stamina, but don't you think you've overdone it a bit? Sorry Kurenai-sensei, but there was a lot to do, Naruto said. Tomorrow scale it back a bit, alright? You won't be any use in a fight if you're too tired to lift a finger. Kurenai said. I can still fight, Naruto said before stumbling. Hinata reached out and caught him. Thanks Hinata-chan. No problem, Hinata said. They escorted Tazuna back to his home. Kakashi and Sasuke were waiting outside for their return. You seem to be fully recovered, Naruto. Now I believe there is the matter of the bet you made with Sasuke? Kakashi said. You can't expect to hold that bet after what Sasuke did to Naruto. Kurenai said. It's alright, Kurenai-sensei, technically Sasuke did win, so I have to show him. I can't go back on little bets like this if I want to become Hokage. Naruto said. They moved to a small clearing. Shino and Sakura came and joined them. Kiba leaned in close to his teammates. You guys think Naruto's a little too willing to show this jerk his jutsu? Knowing Naruto, there is most likely some aspect that we are missing. Shino said. Alright, pay attention because I don't want to have to repeat this. Being a Uchiha elite, you should pick it up pretty quick. Naruto said. Stop stalling and show me. Sasuke said. Fine, Naruto said. He quickly went through the hand signs. A burst of smoke obscured the clearing. As it faded, they saw a tall, blonde-haired woman. Only a few wisps of smoke clung to her body. What the hell is that? Sasuke said. My ultimate jutsu. The ninja centerfold. Naruto said. Kiba fell to the ground laughing. Hinata and Sakura looked away, each blushing at the display Naruto had put on. The only movement from Shino was one of his eyebrow twitching. Kurenai was torn between wanting to punish him for such a display and recommending him for an accommodation for his planning. The bet was you teach me that clone technique. Not some perverted jutsu, Sasuke said. No, the bet was I'd show you my ultimate jutsu. This is it. I admit making solid clones can come in handy, but I've used this to escape from all sorts of jonin, even the Hokage. Just look at Kakashi, Naruto said. Kakashi had taken several steps back and was dapping at a spot of blood on his mask, just under his nose. Naruto, you know that is not what Sasuke meant. It may not have been what he meant, but it's what he agreed to. Kurenai said. Forget it, I'll find someone back at the village to teach me. Sasuke said. The next day Naruto was practicing his tree walking with Hinata when their blood beetles began to buzz frantically. Naruto plucked it from his jacket. The insect jumped around his hand buzzing. Where's Shino? Naruto said. Guarding Tazuna with Sasuke. They're the most likely target. Hinata said. Naruto made a single clone to check on Kiba and Sakura. Then he and Hinata went towards the bridge. Before they had reached the bridge, they were sure something was wrong. The bridge was covered in a thick mist. The workers were lying near the mist's edge. Byakugan, Hinata said. She checked their surroundings and the workers. They're fine, just out cold. I can see 6 chakra signatures on the bridge. Kakashi, Shino, Sasuke, Tazuna and 2 I don't recognize. Zabuza and the masked guy. Naruto said. He charged forward. As soon as he was in the mist, everything became muted. He could barely hear his own feet on the cement. To his right was a flash, probably one of Sasuke's fire jutsus. A shadow in the mist, he hesitated. Zabuza's sword slashed the mist just an inch in front of him. Halfway through the swing, Zabuza changed the sword's motion. It swung to the side. Naruto was hit with its broad side and swatted to the ground. Guess that's what a fly feels like. The mist condensed around his wrists and ankles, freezing him to the ground. Naruto tried to pull free. He could barely move an inch. He couldn't reach any of his weapons or use a jutsu. The shadow was in front of him. The sword came down, ready to cut him in half. The end of Zabuza's sword buried itself several inches into the cement. Next to Naruto's head, he blinked. Hinata was standing next to him. Her arm outstretched, the after-image of chakras swirling around her hand. Zabuza looked at his sword. The last foot and a half had been cut clean off. Then he started to laugh. Amazing, how long has it been since someone was able to damage Kabikirabocho? The fabled Byakugan, they do not disappoint. Damaging this blade is no easy feat, Hinata. Zabuza said. How do you know my name? Hinata said. I have had a subordinate watching all of you for some time. Thanks to him I even know how to defeat Kakashi's Sharingan. And your Byakugan, but one treat at a time. As a reward for managing to damage my sword I will spare Naruto. For the moment, Sasuke has his hands full with Haku. The 3 of you together might be able to beat him. If you live, I will kill you. Zabuza said. The mist shimmered and he disappeared. Hinata dropped to her knees and used a kunai to free Naruto. Thanks. Come on, we better go save Sasuke. Then take out that jerk. Naruto said. They ran towards the flashes of fire. Sasuke stood panting. Several metal needles were in his legs, making it difficult to move. He's pinning me down. If this keeps up, he'll be able to pick me off easily. Another needle sailed towards his shoulder. Sasuke blocked it with a kunai. Haku stood on the edge of his vision, weaving in and out of the mist. A needle pierced Sasuke's arm. He dropped his kunai. A kunai sliced the mist. Haku dodged and turned to defend himself. Sasuke caught the kunai and threw it at Haku's back. He dodged again, but the kunai sliced his arm. It wasn't deep, but it was the first injury Haku had taken the whole fight. Naruto and Hinata ran to Sasuke. Hinata used her Byakugan to check Sasuke's legs. "This will hurt," Hinata said. She pulled out the needles, paralyzing his major muscles. Sasuke grimaced. She was right, it was like fire racing through his veins. But he was a Uchiha, he was fire, and he could move again. Naruto faced off with masked shinobi who had taken Zabuza during their earlier fight. "So you're the one who has been spying on us?" Naruto said. "What if I have? All it has shown me is that none of you have the skills or resolve to stop me." Haku said. "Out of my way," Sasuke said, charging past Naruto. Haku disappeared into the mist. "It was considerate of Zabuza-san to send me such nice toys. It is a shame I tend to break nice things." Haku's voice echoed around them. "Come out and fight," Sasuke said. "Demonic mirroring ice crystals," Haku said. The puddles shifted, perfect rectangle of ice rising from the ground surrounding Naruto, Sasuke and Hinata. "What the hell is this?" Sasuke said. "It is my Kekkei Genkai. All of your strength and tricks are useless here." Haku said. "Idiot, it's ice. Haven't you been paying attention?" Sasuke said. "Go ahead and try your fire. My mirrors cannot be melted." Haku said. "We'll see about that. Fire release. Great fireball technique." Sasuke said. The fireball slammed into the mirrors, then bounced back at them. Naruto pushed Hinata to the ground and covered her as the fireball broke and its waves bounced around their confined prison. "What the hell, Sasuke? You nearly killed us," Naruto said. "Shut up," Sasuke said. Naruto and Hinata climbed to their feet. Both their jackets had been signed badly. They tossed them to the ground. "Nearly burning your allies alive? I admit that is a plan I had not considered, though I failed to see how it will help you," Haku said. A shadow jumped from one of the mirrors. Needles struck all their legs. Naruto and Hinata moved back to back, supporting each other. Their position also meant that they each only had to watch half the mirrors. Sasuke wasn't as lucky. He refused to join them, and while he could deflect most of the needles, a few inevitably got through his defense. "Hinata, can you see any way out of this ice trap?" Naruto said, stopping a needle heading for his neck. "No, he can appear from any mirror regardless of which one he went into, and given the shape and size of the needles he probably has several hundred. Right now he's just playing with us," Hinata said. "Alright, guess we do this the messy way then. Kaga Bunshin no Jutsu," Naruto said. A dozen clones appeared, striking at the mirrors. Haku dispatched them in a matter of seconds. Damn it, damn it, damn it. I am a Uchiha, the elite ninja, a member of the greatest clan. I cannot die here, to some lesser Kekkei Genkai. With a no-name no-clan dead last and a member of a lesser clan. I am the last Uchiha, I must restore my clan. I refuse to die here. Sasuke could barely stand, the edges of his vision flickered black and red. The world was choppy. Naruto had made more clones. They rushed Haku when he left a mirror to attack. One caught his leg. A storm of needles dispelled the clone. They flew towards Sasuke. To many, I can't block them all. I will die here. I will die here. My clan will die here. I have failed them again. I refuse to die now. The world shifted. In a single swipe he blocked all the needles. Sasuke looked in a mirror. His eye had become red. I can see. He rushed past Naruto and Hinata, deflecting a dozen needles and threw a kunai. It cut Haku's arm before he disappeared into a mirror. I can see. I'll never lose to you again, Sasuke said. Haku moved from a mirror. Sasuke threw another kunai. He was matching him now blow for blow, scooping up needles that had fallen to the ground and using them to deflect the new ones Haku sent their way. Haku withdrew into a mirror and studied the situation. The awakening of Sasuke's Sharingan had been a possibility, but the increase in skill had exceeded all his calculations. He considered it for a moment and found the flaw in his observations. The only first-hand account of the Sharingan's power was from Kakashi. But his Sharingan was an implant. While he could use it, he clearly couldn't use its full power or receive its full strength. The solution was clear. Finish it now before Sasuke had a chance to properly adjust to his Sharingan. Haku jumped from one mirror to another at such a speed even Sasuke could barely following him. Damn it, if I could just get a clear shot, Sasuke said. On it, Kaga Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto said. The ice prison was filled with Narutos. 24 grabbed Haku, and for each he managed to remove another 2 were ready. Sasuke charged forward for the killing blow. Haku managed to get a hand free. Water release. 1,000 water needles of death. The Naruto clones immediately let go of Haku to form a shield around Sasuke and Hinata. Sasuke fought against the ones that tried to pull him out of the way and protect him. Haku disappeared into a mirror, using the chaos of his jutsu to launch several more needles. The clones disappeared as they were filled with the ice needles. But Hinata and Sasuke were left largely unhurt thanks to them. Hinata climbed to her feet checking for injury. Something was wrong. One of the clones had 2 metal needles sticking out of his neck and several more in his chest. But he hadn't disappeared yet. Instead, the few remaining clones along the edge of the ice prison vanished. Naruto fell backwards. Hinata could see his chakra, still and fading. Naruto. She fell to her knees beside him. Fool. If he hadn't interfered he wouldn't have died, Sasuke said. Hinata was not listening. She knew there were points on the chakra network that could be hit to force a person's chakra to flow. If she only knew them she could help him. She was sure the Kyuubi's chakra would heal him again. But she didn't know them. His chakra faded. He was dead. Naruto was dead. He was still wearing his grin. It was the last time she would see it. She cried. Everything she cared about was gone. It wasn't right. They hadn't even had a real date yet, or a kiss. He had barely started on the path to becoming Hokage. And Haku had ended all those dreams with a few pieces of metal. It didn't seem possible. Hinata swallowed her anger and fear and despair. Sasuke, if I can get you out of here, will you kill that bastard? Hinata asked. Of course, Sasuke said. Good, Hinata said. She stood and picked a mirror. Haku's image flickered across it. She held it, made it as real as she could. The man who had killed Naruto. Who had ended all those dreams. He had taken her love, she could never hold him again. Feel his warm hands on her face. Her reason for existing. All the anger and fear surged in her. She struck the mirror. It shattered. The mirrors around it cracked and broke under the chakra she released. Haku was thrown from the mirrors as they broke. Completely dumbfounded. None of his observations suggested this. He was sure she would have fallen apart. Hinata collapsed from exhaustion. Before she hit the ground, Sasuke ran past her and hit Haku. Sasuke's strikes were savage. He had foregone any jutsu and simply used his fists at a speed Haku was unable to match without his mirrors. Haku managed to dodge a strike and put a small distance between him and Sasuke. Where is this strength coming from? The death of a comrade is a common event among shinobi. You did not even care for him. Haku said. It's not that you killed him. You did something far worse, you took away my chance to beat him. For that I'll break you, Sasuke said, then disappeared. Sasuke struck from under Haku, sending him into the air. Then appeared above and brought his leg down on Haku's head. His mask shattered under the blow. He bounced once on the cement of the bridge, then was still. Now, with the Sharingan all finished Zabuza. No one can beat Uchiha, Sasuke said, running into the mist. With the Sharingan he could see the movement of the water vapor. It told him where Kakashi and Zabuza were fighting. Hinata staggered to her feet. She had welcomed the darkness, but it had abandoned her, forcing her back to the world where Naruto was dead. Her hands were burning from the amount of chakra she had forced from them to break the mirrors, but it was barely noticeable against everything else. She knelt next to Naruto's body. I'm sorry. If I was a proper Hyuga I could have protected you. My clan is right. She brushed a finger along his lips, then walked towards Haku. Stop pretending. Normally I wouldn't hit someone when they're down, but I really don't care now. I don't fucking care anymore, Hinata said. I am not pretending. As odd as it sounds, I just don't feel like getting up this time. We shinobi live a hard and lonely life. I was just a tool for Zabuza-san. And he was a tool of Gato. Still, if my life must end I would choose your hand. After all the time I spent observing you and the others, I know all of you more intimately than anyone else. My enemy that wishes my death is the closest thing I have to a friend. There is something poetic about it, don't you think? At least for us shinobi. Still better you than them. Haku said, nodding towards the unfinished end of the bridge. The mist was clearing, being drawn in towards the area where Hinata assumed Kakashi, and now Sasuke were fighting Zabuza. As the mist lifted, Hinata could see a horde of thugs carrying clubs and blades. Who are they? Hinata said. Gato's thugs. It's his plan. Hire Rouge shinobi. Let them wear themselves out fighting other shinobi, then kill them so he doesn't have to pay. Zabuza didn't think any of you would pose enough of a threat that we would have to worry about them. They'll kill us and all of you now. Haku said. Shut the hell up. You're right, you're just a tool. So is Zabuza. And breaking tools is pointless. I have to stop the one who is wielding them. That's what Naruto would have done. And now it's what I'll do too. Hinata said. You'll die. Haku said. So? You already said we'll all die. And this way I get to be with Naruto quicker. Hinata said. She pulled two kunai and charged the thugs. Most of the thugs laughed when they saw the small girl running towards them. The front row's laughter turned to gurgled screams as she slit their throats. Hinata was a blur, bouncing from one thug to another before they had time to react. The mist turned to a bloody rain behind her. Hinata made it halfway through the mob of thugs before one managed to grab her ankle and toss her back towards Haku. She managed to catch a glimpse of a short man in a suit that must have been Gato. She hit the ground hard and rolled until she was just feet from Haku. You know, you made it further than I thought. Why did I underestimate all of you? Haku said. Most of the thugs were in a state of confusion. A fifth of their number had been killed and the most anyone had seen was a young girl. An exceptionally large thug who had been working for Gato for years and was used to it walked after the girl. He knew enough to know Zato would offer a small bonus to whomever killed her. Hinata waited for the darkness. But some force seemed intent on making her live out her last few moments. The mist was clearing but sheets of it still obscured things. The thugs were once again hidden from views. A shadow appeared at the mist staggering towards her. Hinata-chan? It can't be, it's just a last cruel trick. Hinata-chan? Please, it's too cruel, if it's not real. Don't make me live through that again. Hinata-chan? Naruto said, stepping out of the mist. He still had the needles in his neck and chest but he was defiantly alive. Naruto? How? Hinata said. I am a flawed tool. Haku said. Hinata wanted to wrap her arms around Naruto to make sure he was real. But she suddenly found herself being lifted off the ground by her left arm. It was incredibly painful, even after everything else she had been through. The thug gave her a shake. So much trouble from such a small thing. Oh well, the more fun to break. The thug said. Let Hinata go. Naruto said. Right, the thug said. He quickly pulled a dagger and drove it into Hinata's head. She screamed until her throat was raw. The last thing she saw before passing out was the red chakra ripping from Naruto's skin. It wove upwards, shaping a fox's head. Naruto saw red. He felt the rush of the Kyuubi's chakra and welcomed it. Anything to make the bastard that had just stabbed Hinata feel more pain. Haku was afraid. For the first time since his father had tried to kill him. He had already concluded Naruto had some kind of secondary chakra. But the pure rage, hate and bloodlust he felt now was beyond anything. Even Zabuza seemed friendly by comparison. He saw his own death in 1,000 horrible ways. And facing such a death he found a new desire to live. A spike of ice shot from the ground and through the thug's jaw. He dropped Hinata and fell backwards off the bridge. Naruto ran forward to catch Hinata, the red chakra slipping away from him and evaporating into the mist. He caught her and carefully laid her next to Haku. Blood was flowing freely from her stab wound. Naruto looked at Haku. You can use those needles to heal, right? Naruto said. Some, but for something like that. Haku said. Naruto ripped the needles from his neck and chest. I'll leave it to you to keep her alive. Where are you going? Haku said. Gato, he's over there with more thugs. He's the reason we had to fight. He's killing the island for his own greed. And he is the reason Hinata is laying there bleeding. Naruto said. The red chakra was oozing out again. I will do what I can. Haku said. Naruto ran into the mist. Kakashi and Sasuke were pushing Zabuza. He and Kakashi had been even when Sasuke had arrived. With his newly activated Sharingan they were able to slowly gain the upper hand. The three of them were exchanging blows when they felt the oppressive chakra of the Kyuubi. It brought the three of them to a standstill. Zabuza and Sasuke, who had never felt its chakra before, were dumbstruck by its power and hatred. Kakashi nearly fell to his knees. "We're all dead. Sasuke, find Shino and Tazuna and get out of here. Now," Kakashi said. "But we have him. I am a Uchiha. I will not run," Sasuke said. "That's an order. There is a very real possibility that we will all be dead within minutes," Kakashi said. The Kyuubi's chakra had faded then reappeared, muted. Sasuke gave Kakashi a disgusted look before disappearing to the mist away from the others. "So Kakashi, what the hell was that?" Zabuza asked. "A real demon," Kakashi said, pulling out a scroll. "We're both busy and I want to finish this before it kills us, so what do you say?" "One big finishing move? Not really my style, but fine," Zabuza said. Naruto ran towards the mob of thugs. Some ran from him. They had already lost nearly 20 men to a girl, and she didn't have red chakra spilling from her. The ones that chose to stay and fight regretted it. Their weapons melted in the red chakra, as did their flesh and bone. Naruto ignored them. He was convinced that once Gato was dead the fighting would be over. Gato was retreating, yelling orders. "Kill him. He's just one brat. 100,000 Ryo to anyone who can kill him or that bitch." That tore it. He was offering them money to kill Hinata. A huge thug jumped on Naruto. He threw him over the side of the bridge. Gato was almost to the end of the bridge where a ladder led down to the water. Naruto ran on all fours to catch him. Gato grabbed the first rung of the ladder. Naruto grabbed his suit's collar and lifted him up. "You're the one that's been killing this land, hiring shinobi to hurt me and my friends. Your thugs stabbed Hinata," Naruto said. The red chakra was shredding Gato's suit. "So this is my end? Fine, I got all I could from this world, I bleed it dry. And I get to take you and the rest of those damn shinobi out with me," Gato said. His shirt fell open. He had enough explosive tags to take out half the bridge. Kiba and Sakura ran towards the bridge. They had been delayed by dozens of thugs surrounding Tazuna House. It had taken Kiba and Akamaru longer than they would have liked to fight them all. Even with the help from one of Naruto's clones. Most had dozens of bleeding cuts when they finally decided he wasn't worth their pay. To her credit, Sakura and picked several off from the roof of Tazuna's house, until a thug had hit it hard enough to cause a large portion to give in. They meet Shino and Tazuna at the edge of the mist. "Shino, what's going on in there?" Kiba said. "I am not sure. The mist rendered my allies nearly useless." Sasuke engaged a masked shinobi while Kakashi-sensei fought Zabuza. Naruto and Hinata joined the battle assisting Sasuke. "That is as much information as I was able to gather. Regrettably, it has taken this long for me to find our way out," Shino said. Then they felt the Kyuubi's chakra. Sakura took several steps back. "Oh god, is that Zabuza?" Shino and Kiba traded a glance. They both knew whatever it was coming from Naruto. Kiba and Akamaru rushed into the mist. "Sorry I'm late," Kurenai said. "Some of thugs showed up in the town while I was shopping." It was confusion with the townspeople running around. Sasuke stumbled out of the mist. Sakura had to catch him when he tripped. The Sharingan having drained chakra. "Sasuke, what happened?" Sakura asked. "Naruto got himself killed by the masked shinobi. Kakashi said we have to leave, now." "Something's wrong. You both felt it too," Sasuke said. "Naruto's dead?" Kurenai said. "But then what was that I just felt?" Shino, Sakura, Sasuke. "Take Tazuna and fall back to the tree line. If you haven't heard from me in 5 minutes, assume that I am dead and get Tazuna to safety." She turned to enter the mist. Then the far end of the bridge exploded. Kiba found Haku leaning over Hinata manipulating needles. "Get away from her. What do you think you're doing?" Kiba and Akamaru ran towards him. "Whatever I can to keep her alive," Haku said. Kiba and Akamaru stopped short. "Why?" "Because Naruto told me to. And I am more afraid of him than Zabuza or you or your senseis," Haku said. He had stopped most of the bleeding, but he was not able to do much more. Even with the herbs he carried. Kiba hated the idea of leaving Hinata with him, but he had assisted his sister in enough operation to realize whatever he was doing to her was helping stop the flow of blood. Which way did Naruto go? Haku nodded his head toward the end of the bridge, just as it exploded. Haku leaned over Hinata to try and protect her. Kiba and Akamaru dug their claws into the cement as the blast wave rolled over them. "Damn it, Naruto. You're always making a mess," Kiba said. He ran towards the blast center. Kakashi's summon hounds burst from the ground, pinning Zabuza with his arms outstretched. "You fought good, Zabuza, but now you die," Kakashi said. He began to gather chakra in his right hand, turning it into electricity. "The famous Chidori, a fitting end for me, I think," Zabuza said. Kakashi charged, preparing to jam the Chidori into Zabuza's chest. "But I have no intention of dying now," Zabuza said. He ripped his left arm free from the hounds, tearing away chunks of flesh. He brought the blade in front of himself. Kakashi's Chidori slammed into the blade. It crumpled like tinfoil. Zabuza spun the sword as Kakashi punched through it, sending him off balance. His hand came free and the Chidori plunged into the ground. Kakashi pulled a kunai to immobilize Zabuza's arm when the mist was ripped apart by an explosion. For a split second the hounds loosened their grip on Zabuza. He pulled himself free and spun away. Kakashi took a defensive stance. What was that? Gato's dead. He always carried a bunch of explosive tags so he could take out whoever killed him, Zabuza said. Chunks of rubble fell around them. Kurenai appeared next to Kakashi. "Where are Hinata and Naruto?" Kurenai said. "I don't know, I've been busy with Zabuza." Kakashi said. "Probably dead. That blast would have killed anyone near Gato. But give it a minute and see for yourself. I can't sustain the mist any longer. If their bodies survived, they shouldn't be hard to find," Zabuza said. "Kakashi, we need to end this and find them," Kurenai said. "Gee, I wish I had thought of that," Kakashi said. Kurenai made a hand sign and began to vanish, her form wavering. A sword sprouted from her stomach. She gasped and collapsed in a spray of blood. A man in a gray cloak and gas mask stood behind her. "I hate genjutsu users, especially ones whose brats killed my meal tickets. Oh well, the bounty on Kakashi and Zabuza should cover the difference," he said. Zabuza appeared behind the man. His gas mask covered head landed several feet away. "Cocky bastard, thinking he could take me just 'cause I had a few scratches," Zabuza said. He pulled his cloth mask off and shoved it on Kurenai's wound, trying to stop the bleeding. "What are you doing?" Kakashi said. "Wipe the look off your face. I'm trying to keep her from bleeding to death." "You must have copied some healing jutsus, right? So get to work," Zabuza said. Kakashi knelt down and pressed his hands to her wound. "What's your game? Survival. With Gato dead, there's no reason to fight. I do it for pay, not honor or some idealistic crap. And as much as it pains me to admit it, you have the edge now," Zabuza said. "So you hope by helping Kurenai I'll spare you?" Kakashi said. Zabuza stood. "No, I'm counting on it to keep you busy. If you stop that jutsu, she'll die. And like I said, I fight for money and money alone. With Gato dead, there's no reason to kill the old man. So I'm no longer a threat to your mission. You're still a wanted missing shinobi," Kakashi said. "I am, your choice. Go after me and let a comrade die or try and save her while I escape," Zabuza said. He began walking towards the far end of the bridge, dragging his sword behind him. Kakashi swore but stayed with Kurenai, willing the jutsu to work faster. Naruto was shocked at the number of explosive tags Gato had. He threw the small man as hard as he could over the open ocean. Gato died, the tags detonated. The blast wave slammed into Naruto, sending him into the air. He fell and hit the bridge, hard, bouncing twice before skidding another 100 feet. His first sensation was of the burning from where his skin had been peeled off during his slide across the bridge. Then sound, someone calling his name, and a wet feeling on his cheek. Naruto opened his eyes, it was too bright out. A shadow fell across him. "Kiba." Akamaru was licking his cheek. "What the hell did you do?" Kiba said, helping him up. "Wasn't me. Gato had a shirt full of explosive tags," Naruto said. "It felt like the whole village had taken turns kicking him." "So he's dead?" Kiba said. "He better be, he was wearing them when they went off," Naruto said. "Then we're done? Zabuza and that guy with the needles won't have any reason to try and kill Tazuna now?" Kiba said. "Hinata, where are they? Is she okay?" Naruto said, shoving himself away from Kiba and staggering towards the side of the bridge where he had left Hinata. Kiba slung an arm around Naruto to help him walk. "Last I saw, that needle kid was stopping her bleeding. What happened?" Haku trapped me, Hinata and Sasuke, in some weird ice prison with mirrors he could attack from. Sasuke got those freaky eyes like Kakashi's and started fighting back. Haku stabbed me with some needles and put me in a death-like state. When I came to, a thug was stabbing Hinata. Haku killed the thug and I left Hinata with him while I went after Gato. Naruto said. Damn, you guys get into so much trouble when me and Shino aren't around. Kiba said. They found Haku kneeling in a puddle of Hinata's blood. Naruto stumbled over to them. Is she? She is alive. I have stopped the worst of the bleeding. The cut was deep, but luckily her intestines were not punctures. I've packed it with healing herbs. There's nothing else I can do, but she's stable. Haku said. He began ripping strips from his clothes and using them to bandage her wound. I tell you to kill them and instead I find you playing nursemaid? Zabuza said. Zabuza-san, Haku said, climbing to his feet. Where's Kakashi-sensei? Naruto said. He had to lean against the safety railing to stay upright. I left him healing some genjutsu user. One of Gato's guys stabbed her through the stomach. I had to cut his head off for being an idiot. Zabuza said. Kurenai-sensei. Is she alright? Kiba said. She was stabbed through the stomach. If Kakashi really has as many jutsus as the rumors say he does, he might have the ones needed to save her. But it's 50-50 at best. Zabuza said. Gato's dead. Naruto said. Duh, those were his explosive tags a few minutes ago. Looks like you stood too close to them when they went off. Zabuza said. There's no reason to fight now. For you to go after Tazuna. Naruto said. I think you hit your head, kid. But you're right. No money, no fighting. Haku, we're leaving. Zabuza said. Wait, at least let me bandage your wounds. What happened to you? Haku said, frantically tearing more cloth from his clothes. I played with Kakashi's dogs. You can take care of the wounds after we get out of here. Zabuza said. Like hell you're getting away. Sasuke said. Shino and Sakura stood behind him with Tazuna. Kid, if they aren't trying to kill me anymore, just let them go. There's been enough blood on the bridge today. Tazuna said. No way. They're dead on their feet and it's time for them to pay for insulting a Uchiha. Sasuke said. He charged at them, activating his Sharingan. Zabuza raised his sword. Naruto pushed himself away from the railing and crashed into Sasuke, knocking him down. Damn it, dead last. You're supposed to be dead. Get out of my way. Sasuke untangled himself from Naruto. But Zabuza and Haku had already disappeared. Kakashi appeared from the fading mist carrying Kurenai in his arms. Where is Zabuza? He was able to escape with his accomplice. Shino said, cutting off Sasuke. Naruto, take Hinata and Kurenai to a doctor. Tazuna, go with them. Shino, Kiba, Sasuke, Sakura, we're going after Zabuza. Kakashi said. With all due respect, Kakashi-sensei. I advise against pursuit. Both Kurenai and Hinata need immediate medical attention. You, Naruto and Sasuke are almost completely depleted of chakra. Kiba and Sakura have moderate injuries. I am the only one at full strength. It would be better to regroup and recover while we have the chance so we do not sustain greater losses. Shino said. We have a chance to finish this mission. Kakashi said. Aren't you listening? Your mission's over. Zabuza isn't after me anymore. Tazuna said. And you believe him? Kakashi said. Yes, because he's a greedy bastard. He's not gonna waste time killing me if he ain't getting paid some big bucks. Tazuna said. Kakashi looked all of them over. Fine, but I am taking that as a completion of the mission. Take it as whatever you want. Tazuna said. He went over to Kakashi and took Kurenai. Kakashi did not object. Sakura picked up Hinata. Kiba helped support Naruto. Shino spread his allies ahead to give a warning if any more thugs were lurking in the woods. Kakashi managed to do a basic medical jutsu on Hinata as well. He looked like the Walking Dead afterwards. It took almost an hour for them to reach a doctor's residence. He ushered them in and had them place Kurenai and Hinata on beds while he examined them. Naruto took a chair next to Hinata's bed. The doctor carefully unwrapped the blood-stained bandages to examine her wound. Amazingly, it looks like she'll make a full recovery. Though it will be some time before she has her pervious range of movement again. Whoever treated her before did an excellent job. The doctor said. What about Kurenai-sensei? Kiba asked. She is stable, but she needs more care than I can offer here. I advise you to get her to a hospital on the mainland as soon as possible. He said. I'll find you a boat and captain to take you across. Tazuna said. The doctor insisted on examining the rest of them, which in Naruto's case meant wrapping most of his body in bandages. Naruto struggled against him. "I keep telling you I'll be fine. And I keep telling you settle down or I'll sedate you," the doctor said. Shino and Sakura returned to Tazuna's house to recover as much of their equipment as they could from the ruins of the roof collapse. Several of the locals were recruited to carry Kurenai and Hinata to the docks. It was early afternoon by the time all of them were at the docks with most of their possessions. Tazuna assured them the boat and caption would be there within the hour. Kurenai and Hinata had been set in the shade of an abandoned fish seller's stall to keep them out of the sun. Naruto was sitting next to Hinata, leaning against the stall, absently brushing her cheek with the back of his hand, watching her slow genital breathing to reassure himself that she was really there. Kakashi, Sasuke and Sakura stood at the end of the dock impatiently waiting for the boat. Shino and Kiba stood a ways off watching Naruto. Whatever it was defiantly coming from Naruto. Kiba said, "Yes, my ally's reaction confirmed it." Shino said, "So what exactly was it?" Kiba said, "I have several ideas but I believe the only way we can know for sure is to ask Naruto himself." Shino said, "I bet you already have it figured out." Kiba said, "I have reviewed my information and I have arrived at the most logical conclusion. Though it is absurd," Shino said, "it must be bad if you're willing to use words like absurd." Kiba said. He leaned closer. "So tell me what you think." "It is only speculation," Shino said. "Tell me." Kiba said, "I believe that the chakra we felt belonged to the Kyuubi." Shino said. He shoved his hand over Kiba's mouth to stop his shouts before they drew attention. When he had calmed down, Shino removed his hand and Kiba glared at him. "Are you crazy? The Kyuubi was killed by the fourth. So we have been told." Shino said. "So what, the whole village was lied to?" Kiba said. "No, I am sure you have noticed Naruto's treatment by the older members of the village. Even Kurenai admitted to it." Shino said. "So, what you're saying they know Naruto's the Kyuubi?" Kiba said. "Again no. I do not believe Naruto is the Kyuubi, rather he has some portion or the whole of the Kyuubi sealed within him. If the older generations knew of this it would explain their attitude towards him." Shino said. "But that thing was a monster. Why would they have let it live, even sealed?" Kiba asked. "It may by the Kyuubi was simple to powerful to kill. I have never heard of a living seal. But it would explain most of what I have observed. Why he was allowed to remain, or why he seems to harbor no ill will towards the village is still beyond my understanding." Shino said. "Then let's go ask him." Kiba said, storming towards Naruto. Shino was not sure it was the best time to confront Naruto, but he doubted he could stop Kiba without drawing attention to them. Naruto was dozing when Kiba stomped up to him. "We need to talk, now." "What wrong?" Naruto said. Before Kiba could say anything, Shino set his hand on his shoulder. The loud buzzing from under his coat caused Kiba to hold his lounge. Shino leaned down. "We would like to discuss your prisoner?" Naruto paled but nodded and followed them towards the far end of the dock. As soon as they were out of sight of the others, Kiba turned and glared at Naruto. "Are you the Kyuubi?" "I am not the Kyuubi," Naruto said, steel in his voice. "Don't give us that. We felt that chakra, we know." Kiba was cut off by Shino's hand, again. "I apologize for his blunt words. Kiba, please allow me to handle this. My clan has experience with being seen for what we contain alone and not as a whole." Naruto. "That was the Kyuubi's chakra we felt on the bridge, correct?" Shino said. Naruto hesitated but eventually nodded, "Yes." Shino ignored Kiba's looks. "Please explain how you came to possess the Kyuubi's power." Shino said. "My parents were killed right after I was born by the Kyuubi. The fourth wasn't strong enough to kill it, so he picked an orphan and sealed the Kyuubi inside him." "That was me," Naruto said. "Those who knew of this treated you as the Kyuubi, correct?" Shino said. "Yeah, but I didn't know back then about the Kyuubi. I thought they just hated me for being me." Naruto said. "May I ask how you found out about the Kyuubi?" Shino said. "Hinata told me. I don't know how she found out, but I went and asked the third and he told me it was true." Naruto said. "When was this?" Shino said. "Right after we left the academy." Naruto said. "One last question. Why do you continue to work for the village and say you will become Hokage after their treatment of you?" Shino said. "For as long as I can remember, everyone talked about the Hokage. When I was little, people just ignored me. So I decided I would become Hokage, so they had to notice me. Besides, not all the villagers are bad. The third is nice, and so are Tuchi and Ayame, their ramen is great. There's Konohamaru and his friends. Hinata and you guys. Now I see it as a chance to prove to everyone that I am not the Kyuubi. Naruto said, "Thank you for explaining this to us. We will keep your secret." Shino said, "Thanks, by the way, the third says that telling people about the Kyuubi is a capital offense and punishable by death. Just so you know," Naruto said and walked back to Hinata. Kiba glared at Shino. "Why did you let him go?" "Because I am convinced that while he has the Kyuubi inside of him, he is not the Kyuubi." Shino said, "How can you be sure?" Kiba said, "Hinata trusts him even knowing about the Kyuubi. His actions and attitude are too different from the Kyuubi. I trust the third Hokage to have dealt with Naruto if he felt he posed a threat. And I am sure that the Kyuubi would not have injured himself to protect my allies." Shino said, "He went to join the others at the dock." Kiba fumed silently until the boat arrived. Tazuna came to see them off. "Thank you all for everything you have done for both me and this country." "How's the bridge?" Naruto said. "We'll have to cut off nearly 100 yards and rebuild them, but with Gato dead I shouldn't have any problem finding workers. After that, I'm thinking of moving to the fire country. This place's spirit is dead. Besides, I already sent my grandson to live there and we'd like to join him." Tazuna said. The boat Tazuna had gotten was large enough for all of them to be on deck at once comfortably, but it also had a small cabin below deck where Kurenai and Hinata were placed. Naruto insisted on remaining with Hinata. As they were loading their things onto the boat, Sakura looked out across the water and noticed something reflecting the sun being pushed towards them by the current. She couldn't tell what it was until it was just feet away from the boat. By then 100 more were floating their way. "Small flowers, made of ice. They're beautiful," Sakura said. "Zabuza and Haku are mocking us. I have not had such a disastrous mission in several years," Kakashi said. Hinata was short enough that there was still room on the bunk, so Naruto sat near Hinata's head studying her face. They were an hour off the coast of the wave country when Hinata's fluttered open and tried to sit up. She fell back onto the bunk, clutching her side in pain. "Hinata-chan, don't try to move, you were stabbed, but the doctor says you'll be fine," Naruto said. He slid off the bunk to give her more room. "Naruto, it's really you?" Hinata threw her arms around Naruto, ignoring the flare of pain from her side. "Whoa Hinata, careful," Naruto said, moving her so they were both sitting on the bunk. "I thought you were dead, I saw you die," Hinata said. She was freely crying. "I'm alright. Haku only made it look like I was dead. He's really a good guy. He stopped your bleeding after that thug stabbed you, he even killed the bastard," Naruto said. Hinata pressed herself as close to Naruto as she could. He wrapped his arms around her, careful of her injured side, and held her, a hand on her shoulder, pressing her tight to him. It was some time later Hinata realized tears were dripping onto her head. She looked up and saw Naruto crying. "Naruto?" Hinata asked, her voice was thick and broken. "What, you thought you were the only one who thought they lost someone they cared about? When I saw you get stabbed, I was sure you were dead, there was so much blood," Naruto said. Hinata's heart speed up. "He really cares for me. I lost it. I felt the Kyuubi's power and I seized it. I took all I could. Just so I could make that bastard pay for hurting you. When Haku killed him I regained control, but I was still using the Kyuubi's power when I went after Gato," Naruto said. He had started shaking. Hinata moved up the bunk and pressed her forehead to his. "It's alright, you're still Naruto." Naruto looked into her eyes, pearly white with a tint of violet. He tilted his head to the side and quickly pressed his lips to hers. Barely a brush between them, but it eased the pain they had both felt at the thought of losing the other. Naruto pulled back with a bright grin, and found Hinata passed out in his arms. "Oh man, not good. If anyone sees this they'll think I was trying to." Naruto blushed at his own implication. Shino and Kiba stood at the doorway to the cabin. They had come to check on Hinata when they had found her and Naruto embracing, both crying. The scene was so strange they remained still and silent until Naruto had spoken to Hinata. They had seen the kiss, and Naruto's panic afterwards before Shino pulled Kiba back onto deck and behind the wheelhouse. Kiba seemed almost as shocked as Hinata had been. They were, and I take it you no longer have any questions about Naruto's motives? Shino said. "Fine, but you saw that too, right?" Kiba said. I did. I regret that I did not have my camera out at the time. Shino said. Well, you know, kissing isn't a big deal. Kiba said, puffing out his chest. You speak from experience? Shino said. I've had a few. Kiba said. I would hardly count being licked by a female puppy as experience. Shino said. Hey, you're just jealous. Kiba said. Not really. If we are using those standards, then I have quite a bit more experience than you. Shino said. How so? Shino said. Where do you think my allies reproduce? Shino said. Wait, you mean they, you, inside of you? Kiba said. He ran to the side of the boat and became sick. Shino found a strange attraction to causing Kiba to lose his cool. Then he began to worry that Naruto was rubbing off on him. Hinata came to with her head resting on Naruto's lap. Naruto? What happened? I kissed you and you fainted. Naruto said. He couldn't look her in the eye. We kissed? Hinata said. Yeah, sorry, I should have waited until you were better. Naruto said. You know, if you wanted, we could try again. Hinata said. I'd like that, but maybe wait until you're recovered, so you don't pass out? Naruto said. Right, not passing out. Hinata said. For the first time she looked around the cabin and saw Kurenai in the other bunk. Was Kurenai-sensei hurt? Yeah, she got stabbed. But Kakashi used a jutsu to heal her. The doctor said she was stable but needed a real hospital, so we're heading back to the mainland. Naruto said. Also explain everything that had happened since she had been stabbed, including Kiba and Shino figuring out about the Kyuubi. Don't worry, Naruto-kun. I'm sure they'll keep it a secret. I'll talk to them and make sure of it. Hinata said. Thanks. I'll understand if they aren't comfortable with me training with you guys anymore. Naruto said. I still want to train with you. And they will too, and if they don't, fine. It's their lose. We all seem to work better when you're around. Hinata said. Really? Naruto said. He had trouble believing that. So do you think you're up for getting so air? I would like that. Hinata said. Carefully Naruto helped her off the bunk and out of the cabin. She was able to stand and walk as long as she went slowly thanks to Kakashi's healing, and Naruto suspected Haku's herbs. On the deck, Kakashi seemed to have fallen asleep. Sasuke was glaring at the ocean, as if he was challenging it. Sakura sat nearby watching him. Kiba had found a fishing pole and was casting a line off the side. Shino stood on the boat looking at the coastline of the mainland as the boat sailed north. Naruto and Hinata moved to the stern. Hinata looked at the coast. This doesn't look like the way we took to reach the wave country. The closest hospital is further north, so we're sailing straight there. Naruto said. Hinata remained silent watching the waves. Her sensei had been stabbed, she thought Naruto had been killed. She shivered. Those moments had been worse than anything her family had ever done to her. Almost as bad was what she had done. She had killed people. She had done the very thing she thought had happened to Naruto. The thought made her sick. They had all been someone's children, maybe brothers or fathers or lovers. How many people would feel what she had because of what she had done? She bent over the railing and vomited. Hinata, Naruto said. He had no idea what to do. He put a hand on her arm to steady her and the other on her back, rubbing gently as she dry heaved. I killed them, Hinata said, too quietly for him to hear. What? Naruto said. I killed them, Hinata said again, louder. When I thought you were dead, I just said screw it and charged into Gato's men. There was blood everywhere, like rain. How many of them had families? How many children? How many are there that will never see their father or uncle again because of me? How many parents will cry because I cut down their children? How many lives did I really end? Naruto pulled Hinata to him as she shook. She buried her head in his shoulder as she cried again until she was sick and had to lean back over the railing. When she was done, she felt too drained to stand and had to lean against Naruto. I'm sorry, Hinata said. You don't have anything to apologize for. I killed some of them too. I don't even know how many. I hurt a lot of them with the Kyuubi's chakra. Naruto said. I guess you're just stronger than me. Hinata said. No, I just accepted I'd have to kill a long time ago. Naruto said. You did? Hinata said. Yeah, I was talking with the third about how I was going to become the greatest Hokage ever, and he suddenly got all serious and told me that if I followed that path I'd have to take people's lives at some point. I said I'd find a way to become Hokage without killing. He said he hoped I did, but if I had to kill, to mourn for the lives I took, but to also honor them by living for them as well. Naruto said. He looked at the ocean. The setting sun was painting it deep red and orange. You know, today I realized I'd gladly kill an army of strangers if it meant I could keep you. Naruto tightened his hold on Hinata. I guess there's more of the Kyuubi in me than I thought. No, that's not true. You only did it to protect what is precious to you. Hinata said. If I was really protecting you, then you wouldn't have been stabbed. I'm sorry, I wasn't there for you. Naruto said. Neither were we. Kiba said. Naruto and Hinata looked up startled. Neither had noticed Kiba and Shino approaching. We're her teammates and neither of us were there either, so stop trying to take all the blame. Kiba said. It is regrettable, the events on the bridge. Normally a shinobi is not forced to take another human's life until their second or third years of service to their village. And not such a large number of lives until much later. Shino said. Kiba put a hand on Naruto's shoulder. We all take responsibility for what happened on the bridge, besides it'll be easier to, what did you call it? Honor their lives or something if we split it 4 ways. If we include my allies the figure would be well into the thousands. Shino said. Kiba stared at him in shock. Did Shino just try to make a joke? Merely an observation that you found the semblance of humor in. Shino said. There's the Shino we know, thought you were an imposter for a minute there. Kiba said. Hinata began to laugh. The hospital was disappointing compared to the one Naruto was used to. A single-story building with cracked walls, dim lighting, faded paint and medical equipment that looked older than the Kyuubi. Still, it was better than anything they would have found in the Wave Country and they were grateful for it. The hospital was located along the side of a large fishing village. Most of the boats were shoved up onto land and looked like they'd been there for months. While the doctors examined Kurenai, Kakashi sent a report back to the village requesting a proper medic nin be assigned to come oversee Kurenai's recovery. Gato's hold on the Wave Country had stretched to the mainland, as had word of his death. When a local inn owner found out from the boat caption that they had been the ones to kill him, he insisted on offering them free rooms. Kakashi declined, but the owner was persistent and pointed out that the rooms were empty and going to waste as it was. Finally Kakashi agreed. Hinata, Kiba and Shino decided to stay with Kurenai. Naruto wanted to stay with Hinata but thought it was better to leave them alone with their sensei. The inn wasn't in much better shape than the hospital. The 2 large rooms they were given, the second for Kiba, Shino and Hinata, were covered in a light layer of dust. The wooden beams were beginning to crack and the paper screens had turned yellow with age. Naruto stored his bag in the room then left to wander around the small village. He knew he should rest but he was still too disturbed by having used the Kyuubi's power to sleep. Most of the fishermen had come in and gathered along a small street with a few pitiful stalls selling thin, sickly-looking fish. They sat around rough tables drinking. The only reason Naruto bothered walking down the street was because they were telling stories about Gato's death. Each version he heard got more outlandish. 20 shinobi attacked Gato at once, only 3 lived. Zabuza had turned on Gato and been killed before a group of bandits had finished him off. 5 shinobi had sacrificed their lives to destroy Gato in an explosion. A demon had appeared from the sea and eaten Gato for intruding on its domain. Gato had called down fire from the sky and killed an army and himself. By the time Naruto reached the end of the street, the story was that it had been a heroic attack by 100 members of the Case Cage's personal bodyguards. Naruto tried to remember the more interesting ones to tell Kiba, Shino and Hinata. Thinking about them sitting around the hospital gave him an idea. Kurenai laid in her hospital bed, a dozen machines monitoring her every twitch. Her students sat around as a nurse copied down a few numbers and left. They had agreed to take turns staying with her through the night. The doctors were not happy with the request but they said they would allow it. They seemed afraid to deny them. Shino insisted on taking the first watch. Kiba and Hinata were getting ready to go to the inn when Naruto came into the room carrying a large bag. Kiba and Akamaru both perked up at the smell of meat. Hinata's stomach gave a loud rumble that everyone could hear. Hinata blushed deeply and lowered her head mumbling an apology. Kiba and Naruto burst out laughing. Shino remained static but did not scolded them for their loudness. Naruto set the bag on an empty chair. I thought you guys might like some real food. He pulled out large steamed meat buns. Kiba looked at them amazed. You actually bought something besides ramen? Well, I know you guys don't have my sophisticated tastes. Naruto said. Shino accepted a bun. They do not have a ramen stand in this village, do they? No, Naruto admitted. He sat down next to Hinata and handed her a bun. He smiled as she took small delicate bites. Naruto began to tell them some of the stories he had heard about them. Kiba nearly fell out of his chair laughing at a few. After the steamed meat buns were gone, Kiba, Hinata and Naruto went back to the inn. When they arrived, Kiba excused himself and Akamaru. Naruto and Hinata knew he was just trying to give them some privacy. Hinata did a quick check with her Byakugan to make sure Kakashi, Sasuke and Sakura were settled into their room. An idea had come to her, but just the thought of it was almost enough to make her faint. Still, she wanted to and took the chance. Hinata grabbed Naruto's hand and pulled him close, then brushed their lips together. Naruto was so surprised he barely registered what had happened. As soon as his brain caught up, he wanted to kiss her back. But she had already pulled away, head down, blushing, pressing her fingertips together. No fainting this time, Hinata said before she dashed to her teen's room. She slammed the door closed behind her and slumped against it. I really kissed him. She looked up and saw Kiba and Akamaru with matching grins. Why are you smiling like that? Hinata said. We saw it, Kiba said. You saw? Me and Naruto? Hinata said. Yup. Don't give me that face, it could have been worse. Shino could have gotten a picture, Kiba said. Hinata blushed at the thought of evidence. Kiba put an arm over her shoulder. I remember when you were just a shy little girl. But you're already taking advantage of wounded shinobi, how fast they grow up. Hinata playfully shoved him away while he pretended to wipe a tear from his eye. Akamaru jumped onto Hinata's lap and began licking her face. Guess he wants to help you practice, Kiba said. Later that night, Hinata sat on her bed, her Byakugan activated, watching Naruto. She hadn't been able to sleep. Thoughts of that morning and of seeing Naruto die before her eyes kept her awake. Then thoughts of Kurenai-sensei in the hospital. The later it got, the worse the thoughts became, until she realized it would be more restful to stay awake. Hinata? Kiba said. She jumped. Having eyes that could see all around you wasn't much good if you weren't paying attention. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to wake you, Hinata said, deactivating her Byakugan. You didn't. Is everything alright? Kiba said. I just couldn't sleep, Hinata said. So you decided to spy on Naruto? Kiba said. Yes, Hinata said in a small voice. You know, I bet he wouldn't be upset if you wanted to go sleep with him, Kiba said. Hinata blushed. I couldn't. The others, they wouldn't like that, I am sure, Hinata said. Akamaru could go and quietly wake him up if you wanted, Kiba offered. No, I'm alright just watching, Hinata said. She lay back down and pretended to sleep so she wouldn't worry Kiba. Naruto hadn't been able to sleep. He was exhausted, but his mind refused to sleep. Finally, after a few hours of fruitlessly rolling over in his bed, he had left the room and went to the inn's roof. He had been tempted to check on Hinata, but he didn't want to peep. Dead last, Sasuke said. Naruto groaned. He felt too tired to deal with Sasuke. What do you want? Why do you keep trying to show me up? You will never be recognized as anything but a no-clan loser. I will always be better than you, Sasuke said. What's your problem, Sasuke? If you really thought you were better than me, you wouldn't have to keep saying it, Naruto said. My problem is that no matter what I do, you keep creeping into things. I've heard the stories the villagers are telling. A might shinobi wearing orange single-handedly killed Gato. I am a Uchiha, but there wasn't even a mention of me, Sasuke said. Naruto hadn't heard that version. I can't help what they say. There's a story that it was 100 of the Cage's personal bodyguards. Besides, I already told you that Gato blew himself up. So what does it matter what they say? It's because they think you're some great ninja and they ignored me, Sasuke said. Suddenly it clicked for Naruto. For years the village had been telling Sasuke he was the best and that Naruto was trash. But on this mission they had been almost even in skills. Naruto found most of his anger draining away. What people think of you doesn't affect how good of a shinobi you are. It's what you're fighting for. I am fighting to kill my brother, Sasuke said. You just don't get it, Naruto said. What did you say, dead last? Sasuke said. You know, when we were in the academy I was jealous of you. But since we've been on the same team, I've realized that your life is being built by the village just to keep you loyal. If you want to stand any chance of beating your brother, then you need to learn to look beyond their pretty little lies. Naruto said. What the hell would you know about that? Sasuke said. Because I had to learn to see past their hate. Naruto said, jumping down to the inn's rear courtyard. Sasuke stood on the roof fuming. He couldn't remember the last time someone had dared to speak to him like that. Sometime during the night, Hinata had finally given in to her exhaustion. It was late in the morning when she woke up. Kiba had left a note saying he and Shino had agreed she needed her rest and had taken her watch with Kurenai-sensei. She was grateful for the extra sleep but also felt bad that she hadn't been able to take her watch. On her way to the hospital, Hinata found Naruto hiding behind a large weather-beaten sign. Naruto-kun? He jumped. Oh, Hinata. Hey, have you seen Sakura around? She went crazy earlier. Something about Sasuke being gone when she woke up. Hinata activated her Byakugan. I don't see her around here. Thanks, Naruto said. Every time he looked at her, his eyes were drawn to her lips. I am going to check on Kurenai-sensei, would you like to come? Hinata said. Sure, Naruto said. Shino was still sitting next to her bed while Kiba had lain out on several of the chairs. Shino nodded to them. Kakashi-sensei is speaking with the doctors. Hinata took a seat by Shino. Naruto pulled a loose thread from his jacket and wiggled it above Kiba's nose. Akamaru perked his head up but didn't warn his partner. Kiba swatted at whatever was disturbing his nose. Naruto snickered. Kakashi walked in with a doctor. Tell them. The doctor looked at them, his gaze linger on Naruto. In a way he was all too used to. I am afraid she has taken a turn for the worst. Normally we could deal with this, but a group of bandits have been stealing delivers to our town. I am sorry, but there is nothing we can do but make her comfortable. What about the medic Nin? Naruto said. I am sorry, but the earliest we can expect them would be in another 2 days. Kurenai will be lucky to last until tomorrow morning, Kakashi said. Naruto looked at Hinata. She was on the verge of tears. Shino was ecstatic as ever, but a slow low buzz was coming from him. Kiba and Akamaru were growling. Kurenai-sensei had taught him a hell of a lot more than Kakashi. Naruto was not going to just let her die. If those bandits stole the stuff she needs, then let's just take it back. Naruto said. Naruto, they have probably already sold whatever they took. And we are all still injured. Kakashi said. So? You wanted to go after Sabuza. And we were in even worse condition then. Naruto said. So was he. We know nothing about these bandits, where they are, how many. Kakashi said. We have to try. Naruto said. Kakashi grabbed Naruto by his shirt collar and slammed him into the wall. Do you think I am like you? Do you think I enjoy seeing a comrade dying? I would love to go and try to find a way to save her, but I have to take charge of her students and ensure they return to the village unharmed. We will continue to the village tomorrow morning. Regardless of Kurenai's condition, Kakashi dropped Naruto, rougher than needed, and left the room followed by the doctor. Hinata helped Naruto up, shocked at his treatment by his own sensei. You intend to go after the bandits? Shino said. Hell yes, Naruto said. A moment then, Shino said, leaving the room. Naruto put a comforting arm around Hinata. Don't worry, we'll get her whatever she needs. Yes, we will, Hinata said. Shino returned a few minutes later. The bandits are mostly fishermen from the surrounding area that were forced out of their work by Gato. They use an abandoned fort from the last Great War as their base. It is located 5 miles northwest of here inside a small mountain. There are rumored to be around 30 of them. How do you figure all that out? Kiba asked. A nurse, Shino said. Alright, looks like our bug boy has a way with the ladies. Kiba said. She said I reminded her of her grandchild. Shino said. Good work, Shino, let's go. Naruto said. Wait, Shino said. What? Naruto said. You realize you will be disobeying a direct order by going? Shino said. So, are you saying we should just stay here? Naruto said. No, I just want to make sure you understand. Kakashi will certainly bring you up on charges of disobeying him. Considering how the council feels about you, they will make things extremely difficult for you. They may even be able to force a vote and have you removed as a shinobi. Shino said. Naruto paused. What kind of Hokage would I be if I let a comrade die because I was scared of the council? Very well then. Kiba and I will do what we can to cover your absences. Shino said. Hey, what do you mean? I'm going with them. Kiba said. It would be better for you to remain here with Akamaru and to use a hench to appear as Naruto and Hinata so Kakashi does not notice they have left. It should only take a few hours to recover whatever medicine and equipment the bandits have in return. Naruto and Hinata should be able to handle fishermen without much difficulty. Shino said. Kiba growled. Fine, but if they aren't back by sundown I'm going after them, no arguments. Agreed, Shino said. Naruto and Hinata left the hospital with a crud map Shino had drawn for them. Getting out of the village was easy enough. Naruto's experience pranking let him find a small alley between some buildings that ran to the edge of the forest. How's your Sai doing? Naruto said. I'll be fine, Hinata said. She wasn't sure how well she would be in an actually fight, but she couldn't let that hold them back. Sasuke stood panting. The trees around him were cut and burning. One had fallen and leaned heavily against another. He had been there for hours. Since his talk with Naruto on the inn's roof. For some reason Naruto's words refused to leave him alone. With a savage fury he attacked the fallen tree until it was dislodged from its neighbor. He kept up his assault until he collapsed from exhaustion. It took less than an hour for Hinata and Naruto to reach the area where the bandits' base was. They settled on a small ridge facing the mountain the fort had been built into. Hinata activated her Byakugan to study it. I can't see into it, Hinata said with a frown. How come? Naruto said. He had been under the impression Hinata's eyes could see through anything. There's too much rock. The thicker the walls the harder it is to see through them. Also there appear to be seals around the structure, there is just a void. Hinata said. Deactivating her Byakugan. It doesn't matter what they have, we'll take it all. Naruto said. That is a most unyouthful thing to say. For two such as yourself, you should be burning with the flames of youth. I will allow you one chance. Leave now and do not return. Naruto and Hinata spun around. A boy a year or two older than them with a bowl cut and in a green spandex suit stood glaring at them. Like hell we'll leave, Naruto said. He charged the newcomer, making a dozen shadow clones. The boy put a hand behind his back. Using the other he dealt with the clones as they came at him, sending Naruto rolling back towards Hinata. Pathetic, your actions have dimmed your flames of youth to embers. This guy is getting on my nerves. Hinata, I'll pin him, you take care of the rest. Naruto said. Right, Hinata said, shifting into her clan's fighting stance. The boy paused. I know that stance. It is of the Hyuga clan. And you possess the Byakugan. So? Hinata said, buying time for Naruto to move towards his blind spot. I appear to have made a most unyouthful mistake. I am also a shinobi of Konohagakure. He said, pointing towards a headband around his waist. Wait, you're not a bandit? Naruto said. No, I assumed the both of you were. For my mistake and hasty judgment I will run 500 laps around this mountain on my hands. He said. He back-flipped and landed on his palms. Wait, if you're here that means your teammates is as well, right? Hinata said. Why yes, we were dispatched to deal with the bandits. He said. Then we need to speak with your sensei. Right now. Hinata said. Of course, follow me. He said, leading them into the forest, still walking on his hands. I am sorry for my treatment of you. I am Lee. I'm Naruto and this is Hinata. Naruto said. It is a pleasure to meet both of you. If I may, why are you here looking for the bandits? I was unaware that another team had been assigned to this mission. Lee said. Actually we weren't. My team and Hinata's were working in the wave country guarding a bridge builder from a missing nin named Zabuza who was working for Gato. Naruto said. Yash, there are many stories going around about what happened to him. Would you enlighten me as to what truly occurred? Lee said. He blew himself up. Naruto said. He did? I would not think someone like him would do such a thing. Lee said. Well, he had a bunch of explosive tags set to go when he died. Naruto said. Ah, a most unyouthful action. I am jealous, the chance to help rid the world of a criminal such as Gato. But why are you here now? Lee said. Naruto and Hinata explained about Kurenai and needing the medical equipment the bandits stole. I am sure Guy-sensei will help you. Lee said. He led them up a hidden game trail to a small camp that had been set up in a thicket of willow trees. A man that looked like an older version of Lee was waiting near a covered fire. Lee, I see your scouting mission has brought us guests. Yes, Guy-sensei. I am afraid I have committed a most unyouthful mistake. In my haste I assumed these fellow shinobi were bandits and engaged them. For this mistake I have pledged to run 500 laps around this mountain on my hands. Lee said, I am proud of you, Lee, I shall join you. Guy said. He jumped onto his hands. Let us waste no time. Wait please, Hinata said. Guy looked at her with a curious expression. It looked almost painful upside down. Hinata ignored it. We need your help. Kurenai-sensei is hurt and she'll die if we don't get the hospital's equipment back from the bandits. Kurenai? Guy righted himself and became serious. Tell me what has happened. Quickly they explained what had happened, again. Guy listened intently. Kakashi, my eternal rival, have your fires truly dimmed so much? A branch broke near the far end of the camp. A boy and girl around Lee's age entered the thicket's cover. Naruto knew the boy had to be related to Hinata, he had the Byakugan too. But they were colorless, like slush. Out of the corner of his eye Naruto saw Hinata hunch her shoulder and look away from the boy. Neji, Nissan, Hinata said. Lady Hinata, I was informed you were on a mission in the Land of Waves. You seem to be very far from there, as well as in, odd, company. Neji said. We completed the mission but our sensei was injured. We brought her to the hospital in the nearby village but the bandits stole the equipment they need to save her. Hinata said. I see, where is the remainder of your team? Neji said. They were injured and remained behind with Kurenai-sensei. Hinata said. Hey Hinata, who is this guy? Naruto said. He didn't like the cool tone he was using with Hinata. Or her body language. Naruto, this is, Neji. My cousin. Neji, this is Naruto. Hinata said. Naruto? You are the one who runs around the village loudly proclaiming his intention to become Hokage? Neji said. That's right, I'm going to become the greatest Hokage the village has ever seen. Naruto said. His flames of youth burned so brightly. Lee said. I hate to tell you this but you will never become Hokage. Neji said. Why? Naruto said. Hinata pleaded with her eyes. Please don't, not now, not to Naruto. She wished she could believe Neji won't play this game with Naruto, but he was just the type of person Neji would pick. Has Hinata-sama not told you? The Byakugan can not only see through the physical, but time as well. I think she has seen it as well and wishes to spare you but you will never become Hokage. I can see that clearly. Neji said. I think you need glasses. Naruto said. Neji glared at him. What is wrong with him? There is no doubt in his movements. No one is without doubt. Especially about their future. Is he just too stupid to realize it? I can assure you I am not wrong. And I can assure you that you are. Naruto said, returning Neji's glare. Neji, leave the fortune-telling to the professionals. The girl said, lightly shoving him aside. Sorry, he gets too serious sometimes. I'm Tenten. Neji shot her a look but moved to the side and leaned against a tree. Alright, a comrade is in trouble so we are moving up our mission. Our flames of youth shall burn through these bandits. Because we are now lucky enough to have Hinata and Naruto joining us, we will amend the plan slightly. Lee, Neji, Tenten. You will take the front entrance while I, Hinata and Naruto use the side entrance we discovered. Guy said. Yes, Guy-sensei, we shall not let you down. If we fail we shall swim back to Konohagakure. Lee said. Tenten paled. Lee, you do know you can't swim all the way back, don't you? And stop including us in your insane bets. Sorry. Lee said. Okay, everyone, weapons out. Tenten said. Lee and Neji emptied their weapons onto the ground. Naruto and Hinata exchanged confused looks. Tenten glanced at them. My dad owns a weapons shop so I always inspect our weapons before we fight. Naruto and Hinata emptied their own weapon pouches. Tenten quickly went through Neji's and Lee's, grabbing a few that needed a quick sharpening. All of Hinata's passed. When Tenten reached Naruto's she paused and just looked at them. You're kidding, right? What? Naruto said. These things are horrible. Tenten said, picking up one of the kunai. It had been sharpened so many times it was just a thin sliver of metal now. And to Tenten's trained eye the flaws were obvious. The metal was deforming, it was of a poor quality and the balance on all of them was off by an unacceptable margin. But the guy who sold them to me said they were the best. Naruto said. As soon as he said it though he realized he'd been lied to again. He felt like hitting his head on a training dummy. You were scammed. When we get back to the village stop by my dad's place. He'll set you up with some quality weapons. Tenten said. Alright, Naruto said. Until then. Tenten pulled out a scroll and unsealed a set of kunai and shuriken. I'm a weapons specialist so I have extra. You can use these. Naruto experimentally picked up one of the kunai. then tossed it in the air and caught it. A smile spread across his face. Tenten leaned towards Hinata. Men, give them something sharp to play with and they're happy, right? Hinata nodded. Naruto and Hinata crouched next to Guy. He had taken them to a small side entrance to the fort. It was hidden in the shadow of the mountain at the end of a shallow gully. The plan was simple. Lee would draw the bandits to the main entrance. Neji and Tenten would be waiting as backup in case the bandits managed to pull out anything surprising. Guy, Naruto and Hinata would enter through the side entrance and catch them from behind. Hinata would use her Byakugan to keep a lookout for surprises and Naruto would guard her. Once they reached the main entrance and eliminated the bandits, they would then search for the supplies. Guy had given the signal to Lee 5 minutes before. They waited, giving the bandits time to make their way towards the other's position. Guy motioned them forward. Hinata constantly scanned the area with her Byakugan but hadn't caught sight of any bandits. "Alright, stand back," Guy said. He charged the door and kicked it in. The heavy metal crumpled under his attack and sailed down an empty hallway. They could hear it bouncing off stonework for several moments afterwards. Wasn't the whole point of having Lee distract them was so we could catch them off guard? Naruto said. The flames of youth cannot be easily contained. Guy said. He's as bad as Kakashi. Naruto said. The hall and surrounding rooms were empty. Naruto kept expecting a horde of bandits to come rushing to investigate the noise of the door being destroyed. But no one did. Each empty hallway increased the growing unease they felt. Hinata, can you see anyone? Guy said. No, there are seals in the walls that are preventing the Byakugan from seeing past them. I didn't know it was even possible to do this on such a large scale. Hinata said. Well, this fort was built before the great nations were formed, and was used right up to the last war. Hardly surprising it's acquired a few surprises. Be on guard, Guy said. Naruto made a dozen clones and sent them ahead to look for traps. Guy grabbed one as he ran by and held up to Naruto, examining him. Impressive, not only a solid clone but so many. Hey, let me go, the clone said, struggling from Guy's grasp. Naruto's clone made a rude face at Guy before running down the hall. Naruto scratched the back of his neck. Sorry, sometimes they have a bit of an attitude. No apologies needed, we are all filled with the flames of youth, Guy said. Naruto started to nod his head, then pulled out a kunai. 2 halls down on the right. Something got one of my clones. How many? Guy said. I don't know, they got me from behind. Naruto said. Alright, guard up, let's go see what you found. Guy said. He cautiously moved towards the hall that Naruto's clone had been searching. The other clones joined them. They reached the hall and pressed themselves against the wall around the corner waiting. Guy held up a hand. Naruto and Hinata nodded. Guy spun around the corner roaring, fists flying. Naruto's clones joined him. There was a quick series of pops as they were dispelled. Naruto and Hinata followed a second behind Guy, and came to an abrupt halt. Guy's fist had stopped an inch in front of Lee's face. Lee's foot was right under Guy's chin. Neji stood in a fighting stance. Tenten held 2 maces. As soon as she saw them, Tenten dropped the maces, shoved past a surprised Neji, grabbed Naruto by his jacket and started shaking him. Do you have any idea how much your damn clone scared me? I thought I had killed you. So sorry, Naruto said, trying not to bite his own tongue. Tenten dropped him and walked back towards Neji. Lee and Guy hadn't moved from their positions. Lee, what happened? You were supposed to wait at the main entrance for us. Yes, Guy-sensei. We were. I shouted all manner of youthful challenges but no one responded. We feared something had happened and came to investigate. Luckily the front gate was open. Lee said. No, it wasn't. You ripped it right out of the wall. Tenten said. Guy and Lee relaxed their stances. Guy moved to the nearest room and looked in. There was a cot set up in the corner and a few pieces of clothing on the floor. There were no signs that the bandits left, but they clearly aren't here. Very well, we will proceed with caution. If my memory of this base is correct, the storage area is only a little further on. Slowly their group moved deeper into the fort. The only light now coming from flickering torches. They were burned down to the stumps. The group entered a room with long tables. Half-eaten meals were scattered across the wood and floor. Here they found the first bodies. 3 along the far wall, deep cuts across all. Their blood sprayed onto the wall. The smell of the food still covered the smell of blood. Before they could investigate, Zabuza walked out of a door near the bodies. His sword, now repaired, rested casually on his shoulder. His arms were covered in bandages and stained with blood. He was dragging a large bag behind him. Deep red stains were seeping through the fabric. He looked as surprised to see them as they were to find him. His eye fell to Naruto and Hinata. "What the hell, you brought stalking me now?" Guy glanced at Naruto and Hinata. "Do you know this most unyouthful person?" Yeah, this is Zabuza. He was the guy trying to kill our client in Wave." Naruto said. "I see, and what are you doing here?" Guy said. "What the hell does it look like? Those brats got my meal ticket to blow himself up. So now I have to go after pitiful bounties to get some cash." He pointed at Naruto and Hinata with his sword. "Now what are you two doing here?" "Kurenai-sensei needs the medical equipment these bandits stole, so we came to steal it back." Guy-sensei was already here to take care of them, so we joined up. Naruto said. "Well, you won't have to bother with them." Zabuza said. "This is true, however, because you were the one who killed them, our mission will be marked as a failure." Neji said, shifting into a fighting stance. "However, capturing a missing nin such as yourself would more than make up for that. Like hell you could take me, kid. You're a Hyuga, right? That second branch of losers?" Zabuza said. Before anyone could stop him, Neji charged forward and attacked. Zabuza lazily brought his sword in front of himself to block the attack. Still, there was enough force to send him back and dent the metal. Neji smirked. "Still believe I am a loser?" Zabuza looked at his sword. "Meh, when the girl attacked she cut right through the blade. Denting it isn't as impressive." Before Neji could try again, a chain looped around his hand and he was yanked back over a table by Tenten. Guy regarded Zabuza. "You came for the bounty, you have what you need. So you won't stop us from taking the medical equipment?" Zabuza stabbed his sword into one of the bodies. The puddle on blood under it shrank. The dent righted itself with a slight pop. "Knock yourselves out, already took the cash and jewels for myself." Guy-sensei, are simply going to let him leave? Look what he has done to the bandits. Lee said. "Don't make them sound so innocent, kid. They've murdered plenty of people." Zabuza said, walking towards a side door. "They were forced to it by Gato." Lee said. "You might want to do a bit more research. They weren't forced to become bandits by Gato, but they were on his payroll." Zabuza said as he left. Lee looked back at the bodies. "Do you think he was telling the truth about them working for Gato?" "Possibly. I had heard rumors that he was using such methods. Right now we need to find the medical equipment." Guy-sensei said. "I am familiar with Zabuza's style. It is likely the bodies further in will be worse than these. Anyone who wishes to remain here may do so." Neji turned to Hinata and smirked. "I am sure you would find the bodies too much for your constitution. You should wait here." "Don't worry, I'll wait with you." Tenten said. "I will be fine. I've seen worse." Hinata said, pushing past Neji. The rest of them watched her walk right past the bodies, then turned and gave Naruto a questioning look. He wasn't sure how much he should say, but they were clearly waiting for him to explain, and Hinata was getting further away. "While we were fighting Zabuza, Gato showed up with a bunch of thugs. Hinata ended up killing a lot of them." Neji snorted in a most un-Hyuga-like manner. "My cousin Hinata? You are mistaken. She has neither the will nor skill to take another human's life, even a mere thug's." "Clearly you don't know Hinata," Naruto said, jogging to catch up with her. He found her down another hall. The room before them was covered in blood. It ran along the floor, down the wall, and dripped from the ceiling. Hinata was crouching at the entrance. Naruto crouched down next to her, resting a hand on her back. "Hinata? I will be alright. Thank you. It's easier to ignore them," Hinata said. "Right. Focus on getting the stuff for Kurenai-sensei," Naruto said. They stood and made their way across the room. Thankfully, most of the torches had been extinguished during Zabuza's attack. They could see little more than shapeless lumps. The smell, though, nothing could help that. The stink of blood and cut bodies. They focused on taking slow, shallow breaths through their mouths. Still, it clung to the back of their throats, trying to strangle them from the inside, turning their stomachs sour. On the other side of the room was a thick door. It had been cut into by Zabuza, but there were no bodies inside, just boxes and boxes. Naruto grabbed an unlit torch and went back to the last room to light it. Then lit the rest of the torches in the storeroom. They began looking at the boxes for anything that sounded medical. A minute later, Lee and Neji arrived. Naruto was glad to see the Hyuga looked paler than before. Lee was visibly shaking. Between the four of them they had a sizable pile of potential medical equipment when Guy arrived. Having spent several minutes moving bodies out of the way and checking the area. Together they carried the boxes out of the fort. Guy sent Tenten back to their camp to collect their things while the rest of them took the boxes to the hospital. As soon as they reached the hospital, Hinata set her boxes down and rushed to Kurenai's room. Neither Shino nor Kiba were there, but the machine continued to hum, showing that she was alive. As soon as the doctors saw the boxes they began opening them, grabbing what they would need. Naruto was sent out to find another doctor who had already left. Naruto caught him just as he was entering a bar. And after the threat to use a ninjutsu that would turn all the alcohol in the village into water, he and the doctor quickly made their way back to the hospital. Naruto was glad the doctor didn't know there wasn't such a technique. Kurenai was in surgery by the time Tenten arrived with her team's belongings. They were all crammed into the hospital's small waiting room. Night had settled as the operation continued. One of the nurses entered and looked at them. "Excuse me, would one of you be Naruto?" "I am," Naruto said. "I have an envelope from your friend with the sunglasses, such a nice young man," she said, handing Naruto a note. He quickly read it. "Naruto, I am sorry, we were discovered. Sakura found Kiba while he was disguised as you. The doctor says he is lucky none of his ribs were broken. Kakashi has ordered that we return to the village immediately. I am sure you and Hinata will return with the equipment Kurenai needs. Shino." Guy-sensei read the note over his shoulder. "I see, so Kakashi didn't know either of you went after the bandits?" Naruto and Hinata were forced to admit that he had not. "But we had to." "I see, well, considering the circumstances I think you will both get off fairly light. I shall do what I can when we return to the village. I shall stand in defense of your flames of youth," Guy said. The nurse hushed him with a light swat to his arm. After the first hour or so Neji stood. "Waiting here will not change the outcome. I will secure rooms at the inn we saw." Naruto saw Hinata relax after Neji left. "So Naruto, tell us about the fight you had with Zabuza." "It truly must have been a magnificent fight," Lee said. He was disappointed when he heard that they had only fought Haku, but he was quickly enthralled in the story. Naruto told them about Hinata cutting through Zabuza's sword, and saving his ass. She blushed and tried to brush it off, but Tenten slapped her back. "That was one of the 7 legendary swords of the mist. Living after fighting one is impressive enough, but to damage it, and with your bare hands. Maybe Neji isn't the brightest in your family after all?" Hinata ducked her head and stayed quiet, but Naruto caught sight of a small smile. Naruto continued the story until he was knocked out. He looked at Hinata to take over, though he wasn't sure if she would want to. Hesitantly she began, saying she thought Naruto had died, smashing Haku's mirror, and losing it when she saw Gato. She hesitated before describing cutting through his thugs. Even Lee lost his look of excitement at her description. She was crying by the time she got to the part about seeing Naruto and the thugs stabbing her. "That is amazing. I did not know a Hyuga was able to cry," Lee said. Tenten smacked his head. "Of course they can. Sorry, continue." Naruto picked it up, leaving out any mention about the Kyuubi's chakra. Instead saying that he had charged the thugs who had run, cautious from Hinata's earlier attack. Playing down Gato's explosion, how he had stopped Sasuke and they had carried Hinata and Kurenai to the doctor's house. "Your flames of youth burn so brightly," Lee said. "Indeed, to start on a simple C-rank mission and encounter all of that. I believe, from everything you have said, that the mission will end up being reclassified as a rank." Guy said. "Really? Sweet Hinata, we completed an A-ranked mission," Naruto said. Tenten slammed her hand across his mouth. "This is a hospital, be quieter. You're as bad as Lee." "Sorry," Naruto said. The night moved on slowly. One by one they began to nod off. Even those that proclaimed their youthful flames were sleeping by midnight. All except Hinata. Naruto was resting his head on her shoulder, and she had her head on his. "So Hinata, are you and Naruto a couple?" Hinata jerked at Tenten's voice. She had thought the older girl was asleep. She quickly looked to make sure Naruto hadn't been woken by her sudden movement. The quietly nodded. "Yes, but please, don't tell anyone, especially not Neji." Tenten gave her a longing look. "I won't, I envy you too." Hinata puzzled over Tenten's words for a few minutes until Naruto shifted and his arm ended up around her waist. Then she decided to simply enjoy the warm feelings spreading throughout her. A doctor was gently nudging Hinata's shoulder. She opened an eyes, wishing she had been left to sleep in Naruto's embrace a little longer. But Guy-sensei was already awake and Lee was doing a strange assortment of stretches. "Miss? Yes?" Hinata said, dread settled in her stomach. "We are finished. Your friend is stable. There should be no problems with her making it until the medic ninja arrives." The doctor said. Hinata stood and gave a deep bow. "I thank you for all of your hard work in helping Kurenai-sensei." The doctor was slightly taken aback by her formal manner but returned the bow. "Think nothing of it, it is our job." Guy slapped the doctor on the back. The doctor stumbled forward, almost falling over. "Nonsense. If not for your mostly youthful attention, who knows what would have happened to our comrade." "Ah yes, have you had a hearing test recently?" the doctor said. "No, I do not believe so," Guy said, not understanding why the doctor had asked. "Maybe you should get one before you leave. Your friend is back in her room if you want to visit her, but, please. Be quiet?" He directed this last plea towards Guy. Guy nodded his understanding. At least the doctor hoped that what he meant. Naruto waited outside of Kurenai's room. Hinata had asked for some time alone with her sensei even though she was still unconscious. Guy, Lee and Tenten had gone to the inn to find Neji and tell him the operation had been a successful. Before leaving, Guy had told Naruto they would remain until the medic nin arrived to keep an eye on things. It had been a huge weight off of Naruto's shoulders. One he hadn't noticed until it was gone. As he waited, Naruto began to wonder why he couldn't have been put on a team under Kurenai or Guy. They seemed nice, they explained things. Their teams were nice, defiantly better than his own. Well, maybe not Neji, there was something about him that rubbed Naruto the wrong way. And the way Hinata acted around him. "Thank you, Naruto," Hinata said, opening the door. "No problem," Naruto said. "What were you thinking about? You looked angry." Hinata said. "Just your cousin," Naruto said. I am sorry for the way he acted. It is a game some of my clan enjoys playing with people." Hinata said. She knew it was considered a clan secret, but she wanted to explain it to Naruto. The Byakugan cannot really see the future. But some, like Neji, are skilled enough to pick out small muscle movements that can reveal how a person feels or what they are thinking. "Seriously? He can figure all that out for a few twitches?" Naruto said. "Yes, Neji is very good at it. He has convinced many people that he can see their future." Hinata said. "You know, it wasn't that bothers me. I'm used to people not believing I'll be Hokage. It's the way he treats you. I guess I kind of figured that was just the old guys causing you trouble." Naruto said. "No, I mean Neji can be cold, but he is not like my father or the elders. He has had a hard life within the clan." Hinata said. "So that doesn't mean he can be a jerk." Naruto said. "Neji really isn't that bad." They both jumped, neither had heard Tenten walk up behind them. "I've even seen him smile a few times on missions. I am sorry. It's because of me that he's had such a hard life." Hinata said. "What do you mean?" Naruto said. "When I was little, someone tried to kidnap me. My father killed them before he took me out of the compound. It was a diplomat from Kumogakure. They threatened to restart the war with us if my father's body was not given to them. Neji's father, my uncle and my father's younger brother, was killed and sent in my father's place. Because of me he grew up alone." Hinata said. She was close to tears. Naruto put an arm around her. "It's not your fault. You can't be held responsible for what your father did. So that's what it was. I always knew there was something else causing Neji's hate of your clan." Tenten said. "Yes, he hates the Hyuga. And he is also the most promising member of the cadet branch, or the main. He should be the next clan head instead of me. My father would have been much happier if Neji had been his son, but instead he got me, not even fit for the cadet branch." Hinata said. "Hey now, that's not true," Tenten said. "Excuse me?" They turned and found a girl in her early 20s, hands on her knees catching her breath. "I'm Fusho, the medic nin from the Leaf. I'm here to heal Kurenai Yuhi." "Why yes, she's in here," Hinata said, opening the door to Kurenai's room. Fusho rolled up her shelves. "Right, let's get to work then. Someone grab a doctor so I can find out what I'm dealing with." Naruto ran down the hall until he found a doctor, then practically dragged him back to Kurenai's room. Fusho started asking the confused doctor medical questions while running chakra-covered hands of Kurenai. Finally Fusho rested her hands on Kurenai's stomach. They flared bright green for several minutes. When she pulled her hands off of Kurenai's stomach, Fusho gave them a smile. She'll be fine. The doctors here did amazing work. I've accelerated her healing and taken care of a minor infection. She should be well enough to travel in a day or two. Hinata bowed. Naruto tried to imitate her but found it hard to keep his balance. Thank you very much. No problem. From what I hear, you two are the ones that did the hard part. Getting the equipment back, Fusho said. Nah, another team was already here to deal with the bandits. We just tagged along, Naruto said. The door burst open and guys slide into the room. Tenten says the medic Nin has arrived. Naruto pointed behind Guy towards Fusho. Guy spun around. How is Kurenai? She will be fine, Fusho said. Thank you. I had feared her youthful flames would flicker their last here. Guy said. Not a problem. Have you suffered hearing damage recently? Fusho said. No, though it is curious you should ask. Guy said. Hinata motioned for them to leave. Naruto followed her into the hall. Thank you, Naruto. For what? Naruto said. Helping Kurenai-sensei. I don't want to think about what would happen without her. It would be almost as bad as losing you. Hinata said. Well, I couldn't let a comrade die if I could help it. Besides, I don't want to see you sad. I'm going to go grab some steamed buns in case Kurenai-sensei wants some real food when she wakes up. Oh yeah, one more thing. Naruto said. He leaned in and kissed Hinata's cheek. Tag, you're it. Hinata watched him dash down the hall, already planning when and how she would tag him back. By the time Naruto returned, Guy and Fusho had left. Kurenai was propped up on her bed, looking tired but awake. Hello Naruto. Hinata has been filling me in on your little adventure. Glad to see you up. Hungry? Naruto said, holding up a bag of steamed buns. He had tried and failed to find other food stands in the village. Kurenai and Hinata nodded. When they were finished, Kurenai turned to Hinata. Would you please find Guy? I want to speak with him about our return trip. Of course, Kurenai-sensei. Hinata said. Naruto stood to follow, but Kurenai grabbed his arm. A minute if you would, Naruto. Sure. Naruto said. He felt like when Iruka had asked him to stay after class. It was never good. I want to thank you. I understand I owe you and Hinata my life. Kurenai said. Nah, couldn't let a comrade die. Besides, it would have made Hinata sad. Though if you want to repay me, you could show me some super cool jutsu. Naruto said. I will consider it. I also wish to thank you for helping Hinata with her first kill. Normally I would have done so, but in my absence you handled it very well. But I have to wonder, have you neglected your own feelings in the matter? Kurenai said. I don't follow. Naruto said. You also took lives. I have my doubts about Kakashi speaking with you on the matter. How are you feeling? Kurenai said, sitting up further so she could look him in the eye. I feel okay, I guess. I don't like it. I don't want to have to do it again. But I will if I can't find another way. Naruto said. I'm impressed. Most people take their first kill much harder. I hid in my room for a week after mine. Kurenai said. Really? Guess I've just had more experience. All the attempts on my life. Naruto said. Kurenai didn't miss the bitter tone that had crept into his voice. I am amazed at that. I don't know how much you have been through, but that you can still smile and laugh is a testament to your character. Your youthful flame, as Guy would put it. Kurenai said with a small smile. Is it weird? That I understand why, but I can't forgive them? I know that they're scared, and that's why I have to hurry and become Hokage so they won't have to worry anymore. But I can't forgive some of them. Naruto said. No Naruto, it is perfectly understandable. You have been through more than most of the villagers. When we return to the village, I will do what I can to help you. My door will always be open to you as well. Kurenai said. Thanks. Naruto said, scratching the back of his neck and blushing. He quietly excused himself when Guy burst through the door. That night Kurenai was, reluctantly, released from the hospital and into Fushu's care. Extra rooms had been rented at the inn, and to celebrate, Guy had secured a small feast. They all sat around Kurenai and Fushu's room eating. Lee was a party animal and within half an hour was on the table trying to sing. Tenten hid her head muttering, if he's this bad now, what'll he be like when he's old enough to drink? The next 2 days were peaceful. Fusho was happy with Kurenai's progress and announced she was fit for light travel. Wonderful. With your flames of youth burning brightly, we shall leave tomorrow. Guy said. You didn't have to wait for me. Kurenai said. We could not simply leave you here alone. Guy said. I have Fusho and I can take care of myself. Kurenai said. Naruto, Hinata, Tenten, Lee and Neji watched the Jonins with differing levels of amusement. Whatever Guy was going to say was interrupted by a shout outside. The door to Kurenai's room was thrown open and the innkeeper ducked in, a hawk flying around his head. "Does this monster belong to you?" he said. The hawk settled on the table in front of Guy. A message tube attached to its back. Guy ignored the innkeeper and pulled a paper out of the message tube, reading over it and frowning. The others waited. It was Lee who gave in to curiosity first. "Guy-sensei, what is it?" When Guy did not answer, Neji reached out and took the paper, then smirked. "We have been reassigned to an A-ranked mission. We are to locate and capture Naruto Uzumaki. Then return him to the village under the charges of kidnapping Hinata Hyuga. That's all for now. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments.